Hello, and welcome back to Developing Your Emotional Intelligence. In this chapter, we're going to cover social awareness, the first of the social competence skills. Social awareness involves the ability to recognize and understand the emotions and moods of individuals and groups. Social awareness is being able to recognize the obvious and the non-obvious. All right, here we go. Let's start off first with the official definition of social awareness, which is, can I accurately identify your emotions and tendencies as I interact with you or a group? In other words, can I accurately identify the emotions of those around me to get a better understanding of what's really going on, especially in a situation where others may feel differently than I do? You see, in social settings where you are around one or more people, there's an opportunity for awareness beyond what you know of yourself. But it can be quite tricky at times. There are some things we can see and hear, the obvious, above the surface examples. These examples might include behavior, clothing, language, physical appearance, charisma. These are all things that are on the surface, things that are relatively easy to figure out for the most part. But what's below the surface? People can be like icebergs. Only about 10% of an iceberg shows above the surface of the ocean. Without taking a deeper dive, we won't see the other 90%, the majority of what makes up that iceberg. You see, we rarely understand the whole story right away. Social awareness skills allow us to see much more. How good we are picking up the clues that exist below the surface is key to social awareness. On page 20 of your workbook, you'll see an iceberg. Please take a moment and think of things you can't always readily see about a person. Use page 20 in your workbook to jot those things down. Thank you for taking the time to jot some of your answers down. Here are a few of the answers we've received over time in the in-person classes. You may have some that match, and you may also have some that are completely different. That just emphasizes the complexities of people. Something to note. Typically, the responses listed for below the surface do not focus on physical appearance, but are mostly focused on emotions and motivations. Things you can't visibly see. It is possible that some characteristics may lie both above and below the surface, such as health. I think we would all agree that there is more to the story than just what we can see and hear. Tuning into your own emotions and the emotions of others as you interact with them will help you to get a better view of the whole picture. Being more socially aware means understanding that the information we receive from others interacts with our own emotions and thoughts to determine our actions. Remember trigger events? We have emotional reactions before deciding what they mean and what we should do about them. During any interaction, while we're responding, we are also taking in more information from the other person while it's happening. Please turn to page 21 in your workbook, and you'll see some blank squares where you can fill in the answers as I report on a very interesting study. In a study conducted at UCLA, which looked at how people weighed the message that they received from others, it was found that words, what is said, was only about 7% of the received message. On the other hand, how it was said, or the tone of someone's voice, accounted for 38%, and body language and nonverbal cues accounted for about 55% of the message. As you can see, what is said is only a small percent of the true message. Social awareness strategies involve listening and watching behavior. What somebody says or doesn't say or do when they should have. Think about that. This is additional information to help us make good decisions about how to respond and act as you manage yourself and your relationship with others. What an amazing ability. You may have heard someone say something like this, or perhaps you may have said something like this yourself. I know exactly what will happen when I go and talk to that group or that individual. The truth is, however, that if you have good social awareness, you understand that you can't accurately know what will happen until you interact with that group or that individual. Because it's through our self skills and our social awareness that we're able to gain a better understanding of people and situations. Here are 4 powerful strategies that can help you exercise your best social awareness. 1. Listen to what is being said. Number 2, listen to how it's being said. Number 3, watch behavior and body language. And finally, number 4, ask questions. Coming up is a chance for you to practice these 4 strategies as you review this next section, which includes a couple of video clips. These video clips illustrate different levels of skill in using social awareness. These clips come from the movie The Doctor. In this first clip, Dr. Jack McKee, a successful surgeon at a major hospital, is walking his interns through rounds as they visit patients. Let's see how Dr. McKee's social awareness skills are working.
To involve. Jack.
Yep.
Surgery is about judgment, and to judge, you have to be detached.
But isn't it unnatural not to become involved with the patient?
There's nothing natural about surgery. You're cutting open someone's body. Is that natural? One day you'll have your hands around someone's heart, and it's beating, and you'll think, uh-oh, I shouldn't be here.
Well, then all the more reason to care about what the patient feels.
The patient feels sick. A surgeon's job is to cut. You get one shot. You go in, you fix it, and you get out.
Fix it, get out.
Caring is all about time. When you got 30 seconds before some guy bleeds out, I'd rather you cut straight and cared less. Now, Harris here took a walk from a 5th floor window. Should we come back? Alan?
Transected aorta, partially controlled by the pleura.
Procedure?
Clamp above and below. You can suture the tear direct or use a Dacron graft.
What do we look for when we go in, JJ? Apart from a great deal of caring. Anyone?
Significant continuing blood loss and color.
How are we doing?
I hadn't planned on ever waking up. I feel stupid.
Want my advice, Robert? Next time you want to give yourself some real punishment, try golf. There's no greater torture.
As you saw, Dr. McKee's social awareness skills are quite lacking. For most of the visit, he speaks as though the patient isn't even in the room. At one point, he does address the patient after the patient has expressed how poorly he feels for his decision. Instead of empathizing with the patient, Jack jokes that the next time the patient wants to punish himself, he should try a round of golf instead. Jack shows low social awareness by making no eye contact with the people in the room, failing to notice how they react to what he's saying, and making an inappropriate joke in a sensitive moment. If Jack had read the mood in the room and been more aware of how he came across, he would have been less removed from the emotions of the patient and been able to help the patient instead of making him feel worse. All right, in this second clip from the same movie, The Doctor, things have changed greatly for Dr. Jack McKee. As the movie unfolds, Jack discovers he has throat cancer. As he works through his own medical issues, through a series of appointments, tests, and treatments, he discovers the frustrations many patients have with their doctors. Let's watch this movie clip and see how Dr. McKee behaves now.
Hi. Sorry I kept you waiting. Good. Good. Okay, well. Can you strip naked and put on your hospital gown as quick as you can?
Dr. McKee, this is a joke.
I'm not laughing. Ah, here they are. Alan. Roger. Lonnie, let's go. Sarah, JJ, Michael.
Anything in a pacer?
Is he going on?
Doctors, you have spent a lot of time learning the Latin names for the diseases your patients might have. Now it's time to learn something simpler about them. Patients have their own names. Sarah, Alan, Jack. They feel frightened, embarrassed, and vulnerable, and they feel sick. Most of all, they want to get better. Because of that, they put their lives in our hands. I could try to explain what that means until I'm blue in the face. But you know something, it wouldn't mean a thing. It sure as hell never did to me. So, for the next 72 hours, you'll each be allocated a particular disease. You'll sleep in hospital beds, eat hospital food. Hospital food? Be given all the appropriate tests. Tests you will one day prescribe. Unbelievable. You are no longer doctors. You are hospital patients. So good luck. I'll see you on my rounds.
Jack's experiences while working on his personal care helps him to reflect deeply on his own lack of patient care as a doctor. And he begins to see that being a good doctor entails more than just having great technical skill. As a result, Dr. McKee decides that he's going to teach his interns what he has learned as a cancer patient about the value of being a good doctor. He wants them to experience what patients experience, what he has experienced since learning of his own illness and going through treatments. That although you can be technically a good doctor, as was he, you can be a much better doctor by learning the importance of empathy as you care for your patients. So, you see that when going into a social situation with one or more people, it isn't possible for you to be your best until you take some time and apply emotional awareness skills to best understand the situation you're entering. This is often referred to as reading the room. We are much more likely to have positive social experiences when we take the time to include good social awareness. Now, if you'll turn to page 22 in your workbook, you'll see a list of 17 social awareness strategies. Take some time to read the strategies and choose one that you would like to work on. Write it down in the space in the right column on page 22, and this will become an important part of your EQ growth strategy. Good luck, and remember, practice makes progress. All right, in conclusion, please turn to page 23 in your workbook. Once there, you can jot down these 4 bullets. Social awareness allows you to see the whole picture, better understand others, communicate, see and seize opportunities. This skill also allows you to identify problems before they escalate. Just think of the many advantages that can come from this benefit alone. Well, by now, hopefully you understand quite a bit more about what social awareness is and are planning to apply this knowledge in your EQ journey. In our next chapter, we'll talk about relationship management. It is the second part of the social competence, which focuses on how we interact with others based on what we observe in others. Relationship management is the last of the 4 sections of EQ. Applying the principles and practices of these 4 sections will increase your emotional intelligence as you continue your EQ journey. I look forward to seeing you in the next chapter. Thank you for taking the time to grow and develop your EQ skills with Court.